Welcome, Mark Homer here. So today I've been going through the legal pack on a new purchase that we're in the middle of. Can't say too much at the moment, we'll discuss it once we exchange. I've been dealing with the legal agreement for Rob's up and coming boxing match, which lots of people are getting quite excited about. And now I'm going to talk to you about interest rates. But before we get started, please like and subscribe. Okay, so the first story I've got here are UK interest rates. How high could they go? Well, I think the market thinks that UK base rate could go to about 5%. At the moment, we're at 4.5. They went up again yesterday. We're behind the curve. The US is probably going to start reducing interest rates shortly. EU or the European Central Bank is still putting interest rates up for the euro, and I think we've got, well, the market thinks we've got at least one more or two more quarter point rises, so we'll go to 4.75, 5%. That's what the thinking is today. So inflation is the primary consideration when setting interest rates, and inflation in the UK is higher than in the US and in the EU. A few reasons for that. We've been particularly dependent on gas and types of energy that have gone up hugely. Food prices have gone up a lot off the back of those energy prices, and a huge labour supply shock, and the fact we shut down a lot of these industries during which in hindsight has not turned out to be a very good idea at all. It does look like there is some better news coming, though, through the summer and certainly towards the end of the year. It does look like inflation is going to fall off a cliff. Probably not down to the 2% in the medium term that it needs to be, but maybe back to something like 5%. If you look at how gas prices have come off and also how food prices are coming off, inflation will start to fall sharply. It's already baked into the numbers through the summer and further on into the year, as long as there aren't other areas of the economy that start having even higher levels of inflation, maybe the service sector or something else. But it does look like it's going to fall off a cliff. But I think the challenge is going to be that inflation may come down to, say, 4 or 5, and it may be quite sticky. It may stay there and not go back to 2. Hence why the Bank of England's continuing to increase rates, and I suspect they're going to leave them here for a little while to try and make sure that they've really killed the inflation genie and got it back into the bottle. I think the other important thing to mention here is that the full effect of these interest rate rises have not been felt by consumers yet. Something like 2/3 of consumers are on fixed rates still that are much, much lower. Maybe they're paying 2%, whereas if they went out into the market now, they'd be paying 4 or 5%. So, you've got only 1/3 of those people out on a variable rate now. You've still got 2/3 that are due to drop off. A lot of people are going to drop off this year, quite a few next year. So as more and more of those drop off onto a new mortgage rate, their monthly mortgage payment's going to go up a lot, and it's going to reduce the amount that they've got available to spend on other things. And when they're spending less on other things, growth and the speed and the heat in the economy will come off more, and therefore inflation should abate somewhat. So, at the moment, the Bank of England's just keeping those interest rates up there and probably going to go even further until these other drags start to take effect, as you would expect them to in the medium to long term. UK national debt, it's just absolute, isn't it? If you want to start learning more about property, there is a completely free report down in the description. Go and click the link below. Okay, so I've got an article here about the UK national debt, just relating to the IMF. I suspect this is a Guardian. Yeah, it is. It's a Guardian article. I'm not sure I want to touch this piece of paper, but I have responsibility, so I shall continue. The Guardian is saying that Britain's national debt will continue to climb over the next 5 years, putting at risk of one of Rishi's key pledges to voters, according to the IMF. IMF said the cost of subsidies and consumers faced with rocketing energy bills meant repair of the UK's public finances taking longer than in other developed countries. So, absolutely, the IMF have sort of said that government debt is forecast to rise to above 110% of GDP. Are the government on a trajectory to pay this down quickly? Absolutely not. Is this a drag on growth? Yes. It's a major issue. I know how they're going to get rid of a lot of this. It's through inflation. Inflation pays debt down because as the economy gets bigger, as prices go up and the economy gets bigger, taxation increases along with it. So if you get, say, 30% inflation through this period that we've had, well, the amount of tax the government will get in, everything else being equal, should rise by something like a third. They're also putting taxes up. So over the amount of sort of tax take, once we've gone through this sort of bout of high inflation, will have increased significantly, helping to pay this debt down. So, I suspect that's their real plan. And because they are the issuer of the currency, they can therefore keep printing money, setting interest rates, and it means that they're very unlikely to default. What's happening to the property market? Well, quite a few commentators, including This Is Money of the Daily Mail and other commentators, are saying that house price falls are starting to slow and the market is beginning to stabilise. Around here, I've seen falls of about 10 to 15% if you look at stuff going through the auction, because of course all the other indicators are lagged. But if I look at stuff that's sold through the auction the last month or two, it's probably 10-15% cheaper than it was a year ago. Is that the case right across the country? No, there are regional variations, but I think to actually get deals away, I think that's the reality. It says here that only 7% of offers are being accepted by sellers, and some 20% of all offers were made at more than 10% below the asking price next month, which I'm sure is correct. By the way, I'm saying 10 to 15% off a sold price of a year ago, not an asking price. But because people can ask whatever they want and agents will sort of pump asking prices up. But, I think people are having to moderate what they're asking, and people are offering less on properties because affordability is reduced. If interest rates are now 4 or 5%, monthly mortgage payments are that much higher, it means you can borrow less on a new mortgage. So low offers are a lot more common. Not all of them are being accepted, but I think the ones that do actually transact, they're going quite a bit cheaper. Rents are still rising significantly. I think we're now on 3-beds, we're on 900 to 950. Remember 2016, they were paying 550. So we've had massive rental growth, partially due to Section 24, partially due to, inability to offset all the mortgage interest, extra stamp duty, lots of the new regulations, the government looking to repeal Section 21 and various other things mean landlords are being put off. But I think it's getting quite attractive. Yields are rising and cash flow will rise because, of course, interest rates, whilst at 4 or 5%, they're sort of similar now to where they were in maybe 2006. Actually, according to the IMF, our economy has changed. The structure of it has changed significantly. We've got more older people now, who are generally older people spend less than people in their sort of, below, say, 60. And that has a drag on productivity. It has a drag on growth, the speed of the economy, and therefore interest rates, once we're through this period, according to the IMF, should return to what they were which was more like 0.5%, 0.75, something like that. They think the real rate of interest in the UK is 0.3%. Are they right? Who knows? I don't think anybody really knows whether that's right or not. But I suspect interest rates, once we're done with all this inflation, once they've killed it, and they may go higher, I suspect they're going to drop. So, variable rates aren't always a bad thing as long as you can cover all those payments in the meantime. And, if you're getting much higher rents, are they likely to go down over the long run? I don't think so. I think they'll stay where they are. If mortgage interest rates go down, you're going to be making more cash flow. So I do think it's a good time to go and get good stock that yields well with good cash flow. Absolutely the case. Yeah, we are adding to the portfolio at the moment. We've got a purchase ongoing, a commercial building, which I will talk about once we exchange. There's always deals out there. There's always deals available. It's just how hard you look, how hard you try. But yeah, I'm always looking at stuff, always trying to buy stuff. Student loan interest, 6.9%. Should I panic or pay it off? You leave university, you look forward to the future. I think you pay it off as soon as you can, but make sure you can live your life in the meantime and get on the property ladder and do all the things that you need to do to develop your career. The most valuable asset you have is you, your brain, your ability to earn in the future. And if paying all of this off too quickly is going to impede your ability to earn and take courses and develop yourself, then don't do it. But if you've got the cash, yes, 6.9% isn't great. You're going to get way less in the bank, even in the stock market. I suspect even if you buy a Vanguard tracker, maybe you'll return 7 to 10%, you know, over the long run, which is not a lot better than this. So yeah, I think you probably want to pay this debt off. If you've got debt at 3%, well, you might be better keeping it and just putting it in the stock market or putting it in property. That would be my, you know, because over the long run, you should benefit. Yeah, student loan interest will go up, but remember, you only become liable to pay it from income that you've earned. So, you know, when you look at this, actually, you're earning income, you should have the money to be able to pay it off from your salary. And if you don't, and you go all the way through to something like 60, 65, and you haven't paid it off, it gets wiped off anyway. And also, the other thing about this is it's linked to RPI, and if inflation drops, as it should do, RPI is going to drop quite a lot. So, you know, I just think about all that, you know, they'll probably come down quite a bit. And if we look back, student loan interest, sort of 21, it was more like 4%, you know, and if we go back pre-pandemic, it was about 5%, 5.5%. So, yeah, I had a student loan. I didn't get it paid off as quick as I could. Yeah, I invested the money, you know, the surplus. I paid, you know, what I needed to out of my wages, and then got the rest of it sort of paid off. If I was 21, I was leaving university, and I had the cash to buy a buy-to-let or go into the stock market or buy my own home or pay the student debt off, I would buy my own home and I would put that money towards paying the mortgage down, because over the long run, I suspect you'll make more money out of your own home as long as there's a mortgage on it, because you've leveraged it, you've leveraged the returns. There's no capital gains tax on your own home. So it's a very efficient use of capital, and it means you haven't got to pay rent. So I think that's the first home. You know, would I go and put it in the stock market at 21? It depends what other money you've got. You know, looking at all your other sort of circumstances, I suspect it may be better just to pay your student loan debt down than start making investments like that too quickly. But, you know, if that had been me at 21, I wouldn't have paid it down. I'd have gone and bought a load of buy-to-lets, because, you know, I was happy with that risk. I was still living with my mum, and I had, I don't know, 15 to 20 buy-to-let properties. That was my attitude. I'm just going to reduce all my expenses. I'm going to pile it all into investments. I'm pretty extreme like that. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody wants to sort of, I don't know, you know, be that sort of black and white and determined and also take extra risk. So a lot of it's about you, your circumstances, and where you are. You know, some people at 21 have got kids and other responsibilities, and therefore, you know, they're going to need to keep more cash aside for that. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about property investing, please click the link below. Thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe, and click on the icon below.